Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight on this Thursday, March 14th. If you're an alderman and you want an extra employee on your staff free of charge, call Alderman Ed Burke. WTTW has the exclusive story.
Mr. Smollett enters a plea of not guilty.
An Empire star is in the spotlight in court. A community activist and the incumbent daughter of a city council dynasty face off in our 33rd Ward Forum.
BILDUNGSROMAN, Bildungsroman.
And a new CHAMP is crowned at the CPS Spelling Bee. All that and more next on Chicago Tonight. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brandis Friedman. Here's what's happening in Chicago tonight. Chicago-based Boeing has announced its plans to pause delivery of the MAX jets like the one that crashed in Ethiopia earlier this week, though it plans to continue building the planes while it weighs how this week's grounding affects production. Meanwhile, airports and airlines are working without the planes since they were grounded across 40 countries, including the U.S. yesterday. This video shows several American Airlines MAX 8 jets being stored indefinitely in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Meanwhile, Southwest Airlines says it's accommodating previous MAX 8 flights on other 737s, saying that the MAX 8 only made up just 4% of its daily flights. The Chicago Department of Aviation says the several hundred flight delays in and out of O'Hare and Midway airports today were largely due to weather. And the legal smoking age in Illinois could soon be the same as the legal drinking age. That's after the state Senate today voted 39-16 to raise the age. The vote comes nearly a year after lawmakers approved an identical bill that was vetoed by then Governor Bruce Rauner. More than 30 municipalities have already raised the smoking age to 21, including Chicago.
And this is part of the reason that we need to pass this statewide, to get rid of the confusion and to get rid of the patchwork and to let our children know that until they are 21 years old, these products cannot be purchased or used by them.
And opponents of the bill say it lacks penalties for people under 21 who are caught smoking. On the campaign trail today, a few former candidates for mayor are getting back in, sort of. Gary Chico and Paul Vallis both endorsed Lori Lightfoot for mayor, joining fellow former candidate Willie Wilson, who endorsed Lightfoot late last week. Meanwhile, Tony Preckwinkle joined the Chicago Symphony Orchestra musicians on the picket line today. Both also picked up endorsements from a few unions. As a reminder, you can catch Lightfoot and Preckwinkle right here on Chicago Tonight, 1 week from tonight in our mayoral forum. You can also watch on Facebook, YouTube, and our website, and hear a simulcast on WBEZ Radio. As for the weather, cloudy tonight with a low around 37, then tomorrow cloudy and a high near 39 with a chance of rain. And don't forget, you can get Chicago Tonight streamed on Facebook, YouTube, and our website, WTTW.com/news. You can also watch via podcast and the PBS video app. Chicago aldermen who might want extra employees to work on their staffs but don't want to pay for them have historically had one go-to option. Call Alderman Ed Burke. WTTW News has learned that Burke has run a program to loan out some of his own employees to other aldermen as a favor, free of charge. Paris Schutz has the details. Paris, what do you know?
Well, Brandis, nothing's ever free, but the way it works is this. Aldermen are allowed a budget of about $190,000 to hire 3 staff members in their wards. But a lot of them say that's not enough. We need more. So they can get free additional employees if they call Alderman Ed Burke, or in the past, if they called Alderman Ed Burke, and it would be paid out of the Finance Committee, which Burke, of course, chaired for several decades until late last year. Now, this is one of many ways that Burke has historically held sway over his city council colleagues. And WTTW News has confirmed through a list of Finance Committee payroll and city payroll databases that among the aldermen that accepted the free extra help were Alderman Brian Hopkins of the 2nd Ward, Alderman Marty Quinn of the 13th Ward, a close Madigan ally, Alderman Matthew O'Shea of the 19th Ward, Alderman Walter Burnett of the 27th Ward, Alderman Nick Spazzato of the 37th Ward, although some aldermen we speak with say the number is actually much higher than this. Alderman Spazzato Sposato acknowledges that he sought out the help from Burke. He said to us, quote, 2 years ago, I asked Alderman Burke, is there any way possible I can get someone? I heard he gives employees to people that are overwhelmed. And he said, yeah, no problem, but this employee would have to work a minimum 35 hours a week. Sposato said Burke never pressured him to return the favor, said he never twisted his arm for anything else. We also spoke with Alderman Hopkins in the 2nd Ward. He's been leading the charge on Lincoln Yards. He has a staff employee that regularly sends out his 2nd Ward newsletter. But if you look up this employee, he is paid for through the City Council Finance Committee budget, which is a massive budget, not all of Alderman Hopkins' office. Now, Alderman Hopkins confirmed that this employee has been a full-time employee in the ward, but is now a full-time employee of the Finance Committee and then works in addition part-time in Alderman Hopkins' office. Hopkins says there's nothing nefarious about accepting help from Alderman Burke. We also tried to call Alderman Burnett's office. They said that that employee that they had no longer is on the staff. An employee in Marty Quinn's office confirmed that their employee is on the staff, and we did not get a response from Alderman O'Shea seeking comment.
Paris, is there anything potentially illegal about this arrangement?
No, there is nothing that violates any city council ordinance about this arrangement. But what happens is Alderman Burke, in the past, before he stepped down from the finance, and he was replaced there by Alderman Pat O'Connor, but before he stepped down, this was just a way that Alderman Burke could kind of call in a favor from an alderman, and another way for Alderman Burke to kind of have eyes in that alderman's office. One alderman we spoke with that did not want to be named said he turned down this help simply because he didn't want a spy from Alderman Burke in his office. And this alderman also says that the influence is extended beyond employees. He said the Finance Committee would regularly pay for things like office infrastructure, cell phone bills, and to help meet payroll at the end of the year if needed, so kind of operating as somewhat of a slush fund. Now, Burke obviously was charged by the feds for 1 count of attempted extortion. We reached out to him and current Finance Committee Chairman Pat O'Connor. Neither responded today.
Pierre Schutz with the exclusive. Thank you. And another big story tonight. Chicago-based actor Jussie Smollett was the star at the Layton Criminal Courthouse today. It's a case that's garnered international attention and massive coverage in the media, with strong reaction everywhere, from Hollywood to the White House. Chicago Tonight's Amanda Vinicky is here now with the latest. Amanda, this was Smollett's 2nd time in court this week.
Yeah, Brenda, Smollett, who'd been an actor in the series Empire, was first in court on Tuesday for a hearing on whether cameras would be permitted to record his case. His attorneys welcome that, saying that they want the truth to come out. That's why we're able to show you this now.
So we're going to need a plea. Let me know if you want me to formally read the indictment. You have the option of having me read it, or you can waive reading. Then I'll need a plea of guilty or not guilty.
Your Honor, we waive formal reading of the indictment, and Mr. Smollett enters a plea of not guilty.
Thank you.
Jussie Smollett, they're pleading not guilty to more than a dozen felony charges, including fresh ones. While cameras were permitted today, there's been no decision yet on whether that will continue as this case plays out.
And Amanda, refresh us on what he is charged with.
Well, if he is found guilty on 16 counts of felony disorderly conduct, he would face anywhere from probation to 3 years prison time. In January, Smollett received sympathy across the globe when he accused 2 men of beating him, putting a noose around his neck, pouring bleach on him, all the while yelling racial and homophobic slurs. But as Chicago police investigated, Superintendent Eddie Johnson says it became clear the purported hate crime was staged by Smollett, that is, for publicity.
Painted this city that we all love and work hard in a negative connotation, you know, to insinuate and to stage a hate crime of that nature when he knew as a celebrity it would get a lot of attention. It's just despicable.
And while the Cook County State's Attorney's Office is prosecuting this case, State's Attorney Kim Foxx has recused herself. Why is that?
Well, we actually have Fox's office having responded to media freedom of information requests, and that sheds some light on what's at hand. Early on, before the incident was alleged to be a hoax, Fox texted with a member of Smollett's family. The Chicago Tribune posted screenshots. At a relative's urging, Fox asked the police superintendent to bring in the FBI. OMG, this would be a huge victory, the relative wrote. I make no guarantees, but I'm trying, Fox wrote back. The family member apparently got Fox's cell phone number from Tina Chen, with whom Fox also texted about the Smollett case. Her name may sound familiar because she has political star power. Chen served as then First Lady Michelle Obama's chief of staff.
Now, is this typical or appropriate behavior for a top prosecutor?
The metaphorical jury, as they say, is still out on that. Legal experts say it would be wrong if Fox was giving special treatment to Smollett's family and to Chen, but her office has said it's regular practice to communicate with police and with victims' advocates. And during the time of those texts, Smollett was perceived as a victim. The texting stopped shortly before Smollett was charged. Regardless, the consensus seems to be that given that Fox was in touch with Smollett's family, it is appropriate she recuse herself.
So what's next?
Well, Smollett is going to be back in court April 17th. Right now, he's out on bail after having paid $10,000 in bond. Empire did wrap up its filming of its 5th season here in Chicago with Smollett's character written out of the last couple of episodes.
All right, Amanda, thank you. And after the break, Paris Schutz is back with the candidates in the closely watched race for alderman in Chicago's 33rd Ward.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part by Allstate. Allstate is investing in Chicago's youth. We believe good starts young. That's why we're helping our youth develop the skills they need to achieve success in life. Allstate is proud to empower the next generation of leaders.
It's a ward that has traditionally been at the epicenter of city and state politics. Chicago's 33rd Ward includes the northwest side neighborhoods of Albany Park, Irving Park, Avondale, and Ravenswood Manor. Last month, 3 candidates vied for the aldermanic seat, with the top vote getters split by a margin of less than 100 votes. Those 2 candidates are now heading to a runoff. Community activist Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez and the incumbent Alderman Deb Mell. She was appointed by Mayor Rahm Emanuel to fill her father Richard Mell's city council seat in 2013 and won a full term in 2015. Joining us in the order they appear on the ballot are Rosana Rodriguez Sanchez and Deb Mell. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks so much.
First, Alderman Mell, to that story we just reported, has your office ever accepted employees from Alderman Burke paid for by the Finance Committee?
Alderman Burke and I do not have that kind of relationship. No, I never asked and I never received anything from Alderman Burke.
But you have seen this practice happen with some of your colleagues?
I have not.
You have not?
I have not. No, I didn't even know that that existed.
All right,
so I was very, but this is the exact same thing that people are sick and tired of hearing about, and I am too.
And Alderman, you are the incumbent, but you're locked in a very tight runoff. Why do you believe it's such a tight race?
Well, first, I absolutely want to say that Rosanna and her camp, they ran a great campaign. They were very well organized. They've been running for quite a while, and they've been out there and they've been talking to voters. I think people are just tired of politics as usual and tired of the same old thing happening down at City Hall. And so I'm really proud to sponsor many of all of them, the ethics ordinances that are passing through the City Council right now, and look forward to working on more.
Ms. Rodriguez-Sanchez, you've never held or ran for public office before. Why do you believe that voters should choose you?
Well, I have come to understand that the only way for working people to get access to resources is by organizing and establishing clear demands on what they want. That's what I have been doing for most of my life. And I actually like to see the role of the alderman more as a community organizer, somebody that, that provides the space for people to be able to articulate those demands and advocate for them.
And you've used the term democratic socialist to define your ideology. What does that mean?
So being a democratic socialist to me means that the people who work every day and create the wealth should have access to resources, right? To the basic resources that we all deserve as people. That's not the case. We struggle a lot to get access to basic services. So I want to make sure that public services are funded. I want to make sure that everybody has access to the things that they need.
Alderman Mell, you've both mentioned displacement and gentrification as issues in your ward. How do you plan to go about dealing with it, and how have you dealt with that?
Okay, it's a great question. And this is absolutely one of the biggest priorities of me and my office and the community and the neighborhoods of the 33rd Ward. So a couple things we can't do, right? So an alderman can't get involved in private home transactions, for instance. I'm seeing a lot of families moving into the neighborhood, coming in from Logan Square. We can't get involved in those, right? We can't say who can sell a home, who can buy a home. We also can't do when someone wants to build larger or purchase larger parcels of real estate. We can't get involved in that. But what we can do, and what I have done, is vote against the largest property tax increase. We can keep property taxes low, and this will help keep people in their homes, which is extremely important. Also, we can preserve affordable housing, which is systematically known to be the proven and best effort, or best method to keep people in their homes, is preserving them. We see it when people are displaced. We see it in our schools, and we see it had tragic and drastic consequences for our neighborhoods. So there's a group that we work really closely with called Communities United, and they have something called the Roots Initiative. And so far, we've worked on preserving 42 units of affordable housing in Albany Park. We've also, and it was so successful that the city of Chicago implemented that program and now it's called the PAIR program, and they're doing it citywide. So it's really a useful tool to preserve 2 to 4 unit buildings.
Ms. Rodriguez.
And then also, real quick, because another really important is building more affordable housing. So we've worked with affordable-minded developers like Evergreen, Celadon, Full Circle. Affordable-minded developers know they have a home in the 33rd Ward. I've advocated for housing on the northwest side, affordable housing over in Alderman Arena's ward, and Alderman Napolitano's ward.
All right, Ms. Rodriguez-Sanchez, do you agree with the approach of your opponent?
Well, we have lost hundreds of affordable housing units in our ward. We have lost more than 5,000 Latino residents since 2013. So this is an emergency. I think that we need to be doing a lot more than what is being done. I think that we need to start looking at all of the possibilities and tools that we can use. There are several. I am looking at rent control, for example, as a possibility. Just cost eviction, looking at land trust and housing co-ops.
Rent control, Alderman Mill, is that something you support?
I support lifting the ban on rent control. I really don't.
Statewide ban.
Statewide ban, yeah.
So
I really
cities
don't,
can deal with this issue, because
right.
now the city of Chicago can't even deal with it.
That's right. I don't want Springfield telling us what to do, quite frankly. So, and then we need to have a discussion about it. And this is a larger discussion about how we do not have enough committee hearing meetings down in City Council. We just don't. We need a careful vetting of all these issues. But I also agree with Rosanna that there aren't enough tools, and it is an emergency. And that's why I am a proud co-sponsor of Chicago Housing for All, Keeping the Promise Ordinance, Keeping Chicago Renting Ordinance. I am on every single piece of affordable-minded legislation that we can get through the City Council.
Right.
Now, the frustration, I understand, but the frustration is we had a committee chair, Alderman Joe Moore, who was the Housing Committee Chair, who wouldn't let anything go through. So, you know what? We are organizing and we are trying to push this legislation through. She is absolutely right. Is it extremely important to our neighborhoods, to the northwest side?
I think it's also a problem when people in the ward, for example, are being evicted and go to talk to the alderman to try to get help from the alderman, and they are rejected.
And you feel like this has happened?
Yeah, it has. I have been to Alderman Deb Mel's office before. I think there's also a problem when we allow our campaigns to be funded by developers, because that makes things a lot less transparent, I would say. And then we have to question whose interest people are representing.
What about that, Alderman Mel? Is your campaign being funded by developers?
My developers make up 8% of my total financing of my campaigns. Individuals and public unions make up the majority, and businesses make up the majority of my campaign donations. It's all transparent right there at the Board of Elections for anyone to take a look. But we've been working on affordable housing issues in the 33rd Ward actually ever since I've been a state representative, even 10 years ago. And I am sorry, but I have not seen Rosanna at any of these meetings, at any of them. And so,
I definitely been organizing in the community around affordable housing.
But I understand
and I have
that.
been
I'm
to
sorry,
your office before.
I want to get to another topic. What about ethics, Ms. Rodriguez-Sanchez? Do you believe that aldermen should only hold the job of alderman? and not have any city outside work?
I do think so. I do think that there is a lot of work in the aldermanic office and a lot of work to do. And yes, I actually believe that the aldermanic work should be a full-time job.
Alderman Mell, you get grief for the last name Mell. Your father was well known for many years. How do you differ from your father, who was seen as kind of the old school machine politician?
Well, my father and I couldn't be more different. When I first got into office back in 2013, right? It was so important to me to have community-driven ward office, and that is exactly what we've done. So we have great community partners with all the advocacy groups, all the grassroots organizations, all our schools, and everyone in the ward feels like they have a say in what happens in their neighborhood. And I'm really proud of that.
So you say your father didn't necessarily govern like that. I'm sorry, we're out of time. Best of luck to both of you, Rossana Rodriguez-Sanchez, Alderman Deb Mell.
So much.
And Brandis is back with more right after this.
Chicago Tonight is made possible in part through the generous support of the Julius Frankel Foundation.
Be honest. Could you correctly spell words Inselberg or Voortrekker on a stage in front of an audience full of people hanging on to your every letter? Well, today, 51 students faced off to do just that in the annual citywide spelling competition. A new champion was named to represent Chicago Public Schools in the Scripps National Spelling Bee, and Chicago Tonight dropped in to watch the show. This afternoon at Lindblom Math and Science Academy on the city's south side, 13-year-old Erin Chang spelled redemption like this.
P-E-M-B-R-O-K-E, Pembroke.
That is correct. You are the 2019 CPS Spelling Bee champion. So congratulations.
Thank you.
After 2 years of coming in second place, the Audubon Elementary 7th grader was crowned king of the 2019 CPS Spelling Bee, defeating 50 other students from CPS elementary schools all over the city, though you might not know it from his calm demeanor.
I'm just excited that I finally have gotten this far.
Chang lasted through 22 rounds of tongue-twisting triumph.
Cordovan. C-O-R-D-O-V-A-N. Cordovan.
That is correct.
Borzoi, B-O-R-Z-O-I, Borzoi.
That is correct.
Pickelhaub. P-I-C-K-E-L-H-A-U-B-E. Pickelhaub.
That is correct.
And heartbreak.
Dwan, D-W-A-N-E, Dwan.
Sorry, that is incorrect.
H-E-A-D-O-N-I-S-M. Hedonism.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect.
Earning him his long-awaited spot at the Scripps National Spelling Bee held in Maryland later this spring. Though Chang emerged triumphant, Sylvia Nelson-Jordan, manager of academic competitions at CPS, says each of these students spelled their way to the top of a pretty big heap.
So this year we had 142 students that advanced from their local bee that participated in the online, and from there 51 advanced to participate today in the citywide spelling bee. I think I'm a decent speller, but in all honesty, the second graders spelling words that I'm like, so I don't think I'm as great as some of these kids.
One of those second graders, Adam Eshani from the National Teachers Elementary Academy, hung in against much older opponents for 8 rounds.
Mayonnaise. M-A-Y-O-N-N-A-I-S-E. Mayonnaise.
That is correct.
Chang's victory did come with a twist. He'll see the girl who beat him 2 years running, Ria Joshi, in the National Spelling Bee. This year, Joshi bypassed the CPS competition thanks to a newly instituted rule that allows certain participants to go straight to the National Bee after an online assessment. Joshi's twin sister Maya came in second to Chang this year. In the meantime, Chang says he'll get right back to preparing for his rematch with Joshi at the National Spelling Bee and all its Sturm und Drang.
Sometimes I have trouble with maybe Pacific Island ones. Those are kind of tricky.
Aaron Chang will represent CPS in the 92nd Scripps National Spelling Bee in National Harbor, Maryland, starting May 26th. And that's our show for this Thursday night, abbreviated to bring you special pledge programming. Stay connected by signing up for our daily briefing and join us tomorrow night at 7 for the Week in Review. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Brandis Friedman. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Closed captioning for this program is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, proud sponsors of the Chicago Bar Foundation's Investing in Justice campaign that supports pro bono and legal aid organizations for the needy throughout the Chicago area.